I work, there's things that, things can happen in at a moment notice, and then you're like, wow, you have all these best laid plans and they can change in a second. So you have to just stay grounded on what's most important, hold those things close to you as close as you can. And the one thing that you can try to hold is your peace of mind. And that's by focusing on things that are right there in front of you. Look, whatever happens in Washington, whatever happens in New York, whatever happens with the president election, we only have so much control over that. We can vote. So
Yeah.
long as we're informed on the vote and informed on, the issues, then that's really all. And then we can try to talk to other folks, do like we're doing. And what we do is, we talk and we vent to each other like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the day, we leave that and try to focus on what's most important. Most of us have a lot of things going on in our lives that we need to tend to, and that we can touch, we can hold, we have some kind of influence on. So I would say focus on those things and let CNN and MSNBC and all the other, let them work it on focusing on every tidbit of whatever happens with whatever that happens and whatever they think might happen and whatever poll is saying what today.
Okay.
That'll drive you crazy watching all that and focusing on all that. So,
There's a one more question. This came from Jeff from Kentucky. Um,
mhm.
he said, at family gatherings, there's a division when they talk about politics, and he said he called one of his family. He's got a mental health issue, because he said mentally, families are getting divided. He said it point blank, our family's getting divided over political stuff, and it shouldn't be like that. And he said, how is that mental health driving some of those people who don't go out and look for it? Let's say exact words. He said they don't go out and look for the truth. They just go by what everybody say. And I'm saying that they got a mental health issue. He wants to know, do they?
Well, here's the thing. But I need more information if somebody has a mental health issue. Then if they have a different opinion than you have. Um, I know that there's a lot of people that are very polarized. Um, we talk about, we call certain people cult members and things of that nature, because they just seem to be following whatever a person says or whatever. And we say that in jest, but now, we also said that in proving some premises and all that. But the fact of the matter is, when you're talking about your family, one of the things that really has happened with politics nowadays is that people really they always take politics personally. Remember, there's a few things you're not supposed to talk about when you go to a public setting or whatever. They say what politics, what's the other?
Religion.
Uh, religion, because these are things that people hold close to the chest. And it's personal. So anytime you get into a personal argument, one of the first things that's going to happen is you get into what's called fight or flight. Now, if anybody knows anything about fight or flight, look it up. When you get into a fight or flight argument, the first thing that's affected, one of the first things affected is your judgment because your higher level reasoning stops functioning and you get into that fight mode. So, if you know that somebody's going to say something that's going to trigger you, you probably already are prepared for that before you go to the family gathering and go, oh, such and such is there. I got to get ready.
Yeah.
So all they got to do is say one or two things, and then you automatically are in fight mode. And when you get in that fight mode, everybody looks crazy because in a way,
Yeah.
and you're in the fight or flight mode. Have you ever? So let me ask you: have you ever done something and then after you calm down, you think about it, you go, "Man, I shouldn't have did that. Man, I could have did that differently," or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. Well, at that moment, somebody seeing you acting in that way could probably say, he might be crazy. There are things, where you're not acting your best. And that's why it's real important. And I have to continue to learn this myself, even being a therapist, to stay calm, so you can have your higher level reasoning and know not to fight. certain things. Like that's why I'm intentionally not talking about politics as much as we used to, because at this point, people are kind of entrenched. And I think we need to start talking about how we're going to bring people back together so that we can communicate more and deal with, just like that person is in this family, deal with that as a country, start bringing people back together, communicate in a healthy way versus what we got going on now, you know?
Yeah.
Uh, it's so to answer the question, I don't know if it's crazy, but I know that we're in some crazy times. And people that are getting too fixated on politics, it can make you a little off center. I'll put it like that.
Yeah.
It can be a little imbalanced. So if you know somebody's going to have a differing opinion, you can talk about, as we said, we could talk about the premises. You can bring your facts, I'll bring my facts, and we can see where this thing, was. But, you know, you can have to check where the facts are coming from now because some people believe in alternate facts.
Right.
So, uh, I don't really know if we can get past all of that, but I know that if we can get back to the human factor of just talking to each other versus always arguing and demonizing each other, I think that we would be operating in a more healthy mentally as well as physical way, because where the mind goes, the body goes as well.
Yeah. Um, this is my question. I waited early. I won't hit it at the end of the show like I normally do.
And see, hey, I'm trying to get all these questions early, Ryan. I know how you do, man.
Yeah. I was watching TV the other day, and it occurred to me. I'm thinking that so many people is going to have a snap moment, and to me, that snap moment is when they had enough of the rhetoric that's going on out there. And I am, there's a snap moment going on right now when you get somebody's running for Senate in Arizona, telling everybody to strap on your Glock. They're pushing violence, and you got people out there that's on that edge. They may be liable to snap and do something, and mentally, when that happens, I would say that they're unstable. Is that about right?
No, yeah, that's definitely unright. You know what the technical term is: exhibiting suicidal or homicidal ideation. Or what you're talking about is homicidal ideation, when somebody has decided they're going to hurt or kill somebody else, and people snap. And that's why we talk about this all the time. In this profession, where you never know where somebody is, so be careful or what you say or what you do, because you could have that person that, back in that old hip hop song, is close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my
My
head.
head.
There's a lot of people out there on that line right now. Statistically, I know when I was in the San Antonio area, every weekend I did some work with one of the mental health hospitals in terms of being an assessor, a mobile assessor, and every weekend the hospital beds were full, mental health hospitals in the institutions. So if they're full, where do you think all the other people are? They're out there on the street.
Yeah.
And you put that in there, and then you put in the fact that guns are everywhere in society now. You can see how people could turn a situation that would have been just a small argument into a road rage situation or a shooting situation or whatever. So it's really now time for people to get centered and learn how to be patient, think through situations, because you never know if you're sitting there next to or about to argue with somebody who's ready to snap, and they're just ready for that one situation to go off. And some people, unfortunately, could be using politics as that way to snap or the way to go off or whatever the case may be. So I just say, man, it is unstable at best, and it could be homicidal ideation, it could be suicidal ideation, it could be a combination of both. And once somebody has suicidal ideation, you got to look at some things. You got to look at some factors, and like how much safety or protective factors does a person have? Do they have a family that can, help them to calm down? Do they have some support there? Do they have some ways of managing stress and balancing themselves out? So there's some people that when you just lose your job, when you have just lost a loved one, There are some times that you can become, you know, at the verge of being unstable. And then it just takes that one thing, that one person cuts you off, and you're like, well, I don't care about much right now. So, you know, what
Yeah,
do I care about you? If you don't care about yourself, you're not going to care too much about somebody else.
and that's true.
So,
My only when people talk about they look at their history, see what they have, you know, are they capable of doing the things? Then you got the other part where there's no history, nobody doing anything at all, no record, no nothing, and they just snap. Those are the ones I'm more fearful of than anything else. The quiet ones sitting over there never bother anybody. And
mhm.
it's really hard to see the signs when you know that person has never done anything. All of a sudden, they just snap. And those are the ones I'm worried about more than the ones that, because we could keep up with the ones that got something going on because we know already. But it's the
Well,
unknown. It's the
yeah,
unknown that's out there.
yeah. Well, you bring up a good point. Because we don't talk about that person that much, do we? We
Mm-mm.
talk about the person that's been, you know, it's obvious that something is going on, and we really haven't. We were trying to do the red flag laws and things of that nature to kind of help deal with that person, right? We're trying to get things in place to try to remove weapons and things of that nature, but we still really haven't even got a hold on that. But what about the person that's quietly suffering, quietly about to blow, and they're just waiting for that one thing to, to go off. And you really just have to be mindful and aware of your surroundings. My wife always tells me I'm always scanning the room. When I sit somewhere, I like to have my back against the wall. And I've been doing that for a long time, even before I became a clinician, even before I got in the military. I would always sit with my back in the wall because you may only have that split second to see if somebody's about to snap or something's about to happen. So, I'm always watching for that person that they didn't suspect. You know what I'm saying? To be the one to go off. And it's really, at a certain point, man, you really have to just be mindful, be aware of your surroundings, but you really have to just be prayerful and ask God to order your words, step, deeds, and presence.
Yeah.
And because there's just some things you can't control. We could have that person sitting right next to us, just 2 seconds from going off. And maybe the calmness of your spirit will cause them to calm down,
Yeah.
you know? So try to be more of a light, we got to try to, I may not agree with the person, I may not agree with their beliefs or whatever, but I got to try to be the calming force in the room. Doesn't mean I'm going to be a pushover, but at
Yeah.
the same time, I don't have to be an agitator, right? And there's people that are going to try to push your buttons too. You got those folks. So you got to learn how to pick your battles. You got to learn how to walk away. Those are things that you have to continue to learn and walk through and try to continue to do. And it's difficult, especially if you're an extrovert like myself. To then be able to just walk away. You have to really work on that. Just remember that, hey, this person might have issues that I don't know nothing about. They might be ready to snap and they just aren't showing it. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's why
Yeah.
I think even law enforcement now, they're trying to do more de-escalation training to keep people from, elevating and death by cop and all that stuff,
Right.
that's a thing. People, call the police and they're ready to end their life. So they don't want to do it, so they let the police do it. So then it's just a mess. So, learning how to de-escalate situations, somebody could be having a breakdown, have them calm down, say, hey, whatever it is, man, there's always tomorrow. There's a way you can kind of turn this around. Just give yourself
Yeah.
some time to do that.
Yeah. That's so true because it's just we're in this world right now. It's not like it was in the '60s and '70s. It's more out there. Information is so quick getting to people nowadays, and
Yeah.
without them vetting it, and they almost believe anything anybody says. Nobody takes time out anymore to really find out what they're saying is true or not.
You
And
know, I think you said, not only are they not vetting the information, people tend to like a fight, right? They like to see people going at it. So I don't know if you know this, but I was watching a little bit about trying to see what's going on and be aware of what's happening in a lot of different genres. So I know that there's supposedly some beef with Drake and Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole. And I guess Kendrick Lamar was against J. Cole and Drake, and there's some other rappers involved with this, but the reason I'm bringing that up is because J. Cole, who, I think everybody would argue say is a phenomenal rapper, one of the, top rappers out, instead of returning, he did actually respond in a negative way, but then he actually realized, okay, it was reflective. So I really, regret doing that, and put a apology out there and said, I really shouldn't have, you know, put that energy out there and
right,
apologize for it. And so many people, it was interesting to see the response to that because so many people thought that was weak, that was, um, not what he should have done. Drake responded with even saying that that was a weak response in his battle against Kendrick Lamar. But you got to look at it. It's like we're conditioned as men in certain situations not to use our best judgment. If somebody hits you, you hit them back. Well,
yeah,
if you hit him back and he's got a gun,
yep,
we got to start thinking through when is there a good time to de-escalate? Why do we always have to do the violent thing? Why can't we do the other thing? And I've had a bad temper when I was younger, and I'll never forget this young man I grew up with, and rest in peace, he's no longer here. He passed a long time ago, but he saw me get mad about something, and his dad gave him some wisdom, and he shared it with me. And I'll never forget it. He said, "Joe, it's better to swallow pride than blood."
mm,
And every time I got that mad or I wanted to, somebody would do something or whatever, um, I would always think about what he told me, and it just resonated like, okay, I can take it there, and I could go there, but if I go there and if I have something and that other person has something, now we've made this into a life or death decision.
right,
So we've got to learn how to de-escalate. We've got to learn how to break things back down and learn how to talk to each other. And if we're going to fight, make sure that we'll live to see another day. We can't afford to keep, making the same mistakes over and over again. So I applaud J. Cole for saying, hey, I'm not trying to, what happened with the East Coast, West Coast thing with Tupac and Biggie, and more things are coming out,
yeah,
but I sometimes, wonder what their message would have been if they got older and they got wiser, what they would say to the youth, if they had had the chance to grow and mature. And I think that we just as a people, as a country, as a world, we have to learn how to grow and mature. I know that's a simplistic and idealistic view, but
yeah,
it's gut wrenching if you watch the news and you kind of go, man, why do we have to? We don't seem like we're learning the lessons that that war has taught us over the years, that violence has taught us over the years. It truly is a situation where nobody wins.
right,
It truly is a situation where nobody wins. At best, we just have better situations of no more loss. But at the end of the day, if we could find a better way to communicate on a personal level, on a national level, international level, I think we would be better off. So mental illness is serious. You
yeah,
know, not knowing how to de-escalate situations is serious. Um, but I'm gonna talk about, some personality disorders, right?
Okay.
You've got some people that have um, personality disorders that no matter what you do, you're going to be doing something wrong
Mm.
because who you are is intimidating to them. And you've worked around these people. So if you know anything about people with borderline personalities or what they call histrionic personalities, what you got to understand is you don't have to do anything for them to say you've done everything wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they're looking to a lens that's not grounded on reality, is based on their insecurities or whatever. And if you hear you come all confident and secure in what you do, you're by default going to trigger them because you are what they're trying to be or want to be but can't attain right now.
Mm.
So don't allow other people to put their psychosis on you as best you possibly can. And that's a lot easier said than done. That's a lot easier said than done, but it can be done. You have to just find those ways to diffuse even those situations and maybe be patient and maybe, find some ways of trying to diffuse the situations in advance.
Yeah.
But, that's all I can say. And get some books and reading on how to deal with difficult people, histrionic people. I know that um, dealing with stressful people can have an effect on your health. That's another reason why you need to learn how to deal with that. High blood pressure, heart issues, a whole bunch of other issues, not sleep apnea. All of that stuff can happen just from dealing with people that are difficult to deal with. So you really have to fight to keep your peace of mind nowadays. And,
Yeah.
just look up borderline, histrionic people. And I guarantee you some red lights are going to come on. Oh my goodness. That person, that person, that person. And just truth be told, you might look at yourself and go, maybe I'm that person.
Yeah.
you know, quick to make judgments about people and quick to react to people without knowing their situation. Being a therapist, we try to ask the question, why? Why is a person doing what they're doing? And sure enough, like being a detective, you find out, oh, okay, this is going on, or that's going on.
Right.
That's why they're presenting like that. So don't all the time take it personal. It could be that that person is really going through something, and you just, you know, getting the hit from what they're spilling over out of their life. Their life is unmanaged, so you just happen to be in their presence, so they're gonna bump into you too.
Yeah. Well, why is
You know,
that?
you're,
You just said something right there. There are people at work. I talked to a few people. They know the ones in there that's not right. And somebody told me that they know some of the people that are not right. They be by their side, become them friends, because they point blank say if they go off, then chances are they won't mess with me because I'm talking to that person all the time. Is that something to do, or should somebody report something to HR, or how does that go in the workplace?
I'll tell you what, if you think somebody's unstable, you might not want to be on their bad side. That's that's for dang sure. But like, and I always tell people, when I work with the schools and work in the schools back in the States, I would say to the kid that's being bullied, or the bulliers, I say, are y'all watching the news at all? Are y'all seeing what's going on with these kids? And this kid is quiet, that's not taking it, that's been taking all this abuse and all this stuff. Uh, you might want to be the one that's their friend,
Yeah.
you know. And they start thinking it through. And I've seen that light come on, and they're like, "Ooh, that's a good point." That's a good point. It's that's a real possibility. They never thought of it that way. Yeah, you want to. I don't know if you want to necessarily be friendly, but I would definitely say be nice. Because again, if a person is unstable, you don't necessarily want to be talking to that person every day, or they, pulled into their madness, so to speak. But you can at least be
Yeah.
cordial. You can at least, check on, say, how you doing today? And if they do share something with you, know where the mental health uh, resources are on that job.
Yeah.
So you can direct them to some mental health resources and maybe learn some empathy too. Now empathy doesn't mean again continually bend over backwards and be a doormat, but it does mean at least try to understand um, what's going on with someone, and then try to set a boundary up so that they can deal with what they got to deal with. But you can at least show that, hey, I'm sorry you're going through that. Here's what I would do. Here's a resource, and then move on. But spend time, being friends with someone that might, well, not be friends, but be nice to someone that's in
Right.
that situation because you never know. That might save your life. That moment when he does snap or she does snap, you know, they might turn that weapon away from you. Literally. I mean, I'd hate to be that graphic,
Hmm.
but there have been cases where somebody comes in and sometimes they're just trying to get anybody they can get, and sometimes they skip that person because hey, this person at least was nice to me. So
Yeah.
try to be nice as much as you possibly can. But what I guess I'm trying to say is if you're dealing with certain people, they are going to come at you because they're unstable. So then you have to make some choices. Try to be as nice as long as you can. Go to HR, go to the supervisor, see how you can deal with a situation, you know, and without causing a conflict,
Right.
if that makes any sense. You don't want to be the one that sets them off. You don't want to be the one that causes the thing to go the wrong way. So
Right. And I'm just sitting here. Here's another question coming. Boy, I love it. Love it. Um, she's not going to say her name, but she works locally here in San Antonio. And she
uh,
said she has a fear of going to the company because they do have a mental health program. Most companies do. And she
mhm.
said she's afraid to go because she might lose her job.
Yeah.
And she feels
Uh,
vulnerable here's what she said. I'm afraid of going to the mental health department in our job. I have to let them know what's going on with my life, and I may tell them some things that's insignificant to me, but they may deem it a different way and may relieve me from my job. And she says she's scared to
mhm.
go there because of that reason.
Yeah. Well, Ron, what I'll tell you is this. I don't know her situation, but I'll tell you what, if you don't get your mental health addressed, you may lose a job anyway, and your mental health. But at the same time, your situation. A lot of times you can check your benefit and you can talk to someone outside of, your job. Like if you have EAP, you might have some dollars available where you can, get some help outside of your employment if that's possible. If not, maybe put the money aside and see if you can find some online help outside of your employment. But a lot of jobs have reimbursement that people don't even know about because they don't ask. But they have mental health reimbursement and mental health, ideas, mental health programs that kind of help fund a lot of that stuff. So, look into it. But I get that 100%. Some people are afraid to say something because they think it might be an adverse effect on
Yeah.
their job. So if you feel that might be the case, look for another option and maybe, see if you can come up with some affordable, some therapists have sliding scale, uh, you know, rates that they will take and will work with your budget. But I would check and see if they have you have something in your benefits that will allow a reimbursement. And you can find an outside therapist to kind of help. So, you know,
Yeah.
that's what I would say in that case. But what I would say is don't suffer in silence
There you go.
because you're afraid of losing your job because you may lose your job or may lose your health, and then you're not going to be able to be effective on the job anyway. So, don't stop seeking help because you're afraid you're going to lose your job. Um, your life is more important than your job. I know that people say, well, I gotta, make money to live my life. But, the fact is you've got to be healthy. mentally and physically to do anything long term. So, I'd encourage that person to look and see if they have some benefits that will help them, get the help they need, if not at their job, with someone outside. And there's a lot of programs out there, Better Help. There's other programs out there. You can at least talk to a licensed therapist online, and there's other therapists. You can go to Psychology Today and see if you can find a therapist in your area that's licensed, got years of experience, um, and see if they take sliding scale payments.
Yeah.
If finances is the issue, we don't know. Maybe they can pay if you can pay the rate, I definitely think it's worth your while to get your mental well-being together.
And what about people feel nothing wrong with them? And I mean, they just say nothing wrong with me. Why should I go see somebody? Because years going by, you got a lot of stuff that's on your mind that's been building up and building up. And sometimes you got to release that some type of way. What I'm trying to say, should everyday Americans, especially black Americans, should they go out just to talk to somebody about mental health, just to release some of that anxiety and stuff that they got inside them that it's been kept up in them all these years?
If you look at the blood pressure rates, if you look at the suicide rates of our kids that are twice as much as other kids, and I'm talking about kids of color, uh, you know, it all the studies say, yeah, we need to be talking to people probably more than other folks, but everybody needs to at least have that outlet. But there's this little example I give people that if you've been going through things, one of the things that we have been conditioned to do is to just keep moving, suck it up, but what you got to understand is when you're going through something, you keep putting it in the back of your mind. Just think of the back of your mind as a warehouse. After a while, those boxes stack up.
Yeah.
And sooner or later, you don't know when you're going to put that last box in there that's going to make everything just fall forward. And the way they fall forward are in your relationships, in your depression, that could lead to suicidal ideation, homicidal ideation, depending on the situation. We now know that stress is linked to, cancers. Stress and anxiety is linked to heart disease. Um, you know, all these things. Mental disorders can be triggered through stress and anxiety, other mental disorders. So yes, we definitely need to talk to someone, bounce some ideas off, because a lot of times we drive on until we can't.
Yeah.
And that's so and that's just like if you envision a car, right? If you stop looking at the warning light, or if you don't even look at the warning light, what's going to happen? Something's going to show up on that car at some point, or that truck at some point, that you needed to pay attention to. And if you don't attend to it, something's going to break down. And how that breaks down is, depression, anxiety, mental illness, physical illness, ailments, or making situations worse. So I'd say we definitely need to have somebody to talk to that's going to not just give you the opinion you want to hear, but give you
Right.
some good advice, let you know if something is off, help you recognize patterns. I'm a firm believer in cognitive behavioral therapy, because in cognitive behavioral therapy, it's to help give you the tools that you can help better yourself, and so you can recognize when things are going off base sooner. Some of us have had generational things that we've been taught that put us in a bad way. Give you an example of that, and I think I've said this on the show quite a few times. I run into this a lot as a therapist. How many of us, and you can raise your hand at home or in the car, well, now if you're in the car driving, keep both hands on the wheel, just raise your hand in the head. But how many people have heard that expression? What happens in this house stays in this
This
house.
house. Yes.
How many people have heard that, right? A lot of times what happens in this house stays in this house means that you're being conditioned to hold on to things that you may need to get help on. But just like the previous person had a question, you're afraid of adverse effects of maybe CPS being called, or somebody losing their job, or losing a significant other because you tell them the business, or losing their stature in the church, or or in the community. But meanwhile, this person is suffering in this house. And then they don't get the issues addressed. And guess what? They take it on to the next house, to the next generation,
Right.
to the next community, to the next relationship. And that's what we have done in a lot of ways, through dysfunctional relationships. A lot of girls, they grow up and see their mother abused, think that, well, I guess that's just how it's supposed to go.
Right.
So they, then it continues, right? Because what happens in this house, what stays in this house? No, but it doesn't. It goes on to the next house. It goes on to the next person. It goes on to the next relationship. So unfortunately, we've got to unlearn some things and then learn how to disclose those in healthy environments that understand your culture, understand what you're dealing with, and can help you within the context and the place you're at, how to get out of these situations or change the paradigm and set boundaries that are healthy. And if they can't be respected, help to give you the escape strategy from that situation.
Yeah. Let me throw something at you.
Oh man, here we go. Look, now it's 10:13
No,
now.
no, no,
Yeah.
no. I just want to, cause we always hear our grandmothers always saying, "Come on, baby, get it out, get that cry out. There's nothing no better than a good cry to get it out." What does crying do when a person starts crying? They're so frustrated. Is that a pressure release for that person?
Yeah. Crying is if you notice, out of both sexes, which one cries almost immediately a lot of times when something either very sad happens or even very joyous happens? Who usually cries?
I'm gonna get slapped by them, but mainly as women.
Okay, well, don't get slapped, because I'm gonna save you from getting slapped, Ron. I'm gonna save you. So as little boys, we were conditioned and taught, man up, don't you cry, don't you cry. But the person that cries first, that's the body's way of releasing, an overload of emotion. That's how we kind of help to bring ourselves back to what's called homeostasis. And women, they'll cry when they get mad, when they get upset, when they're overly happy. They're getting back to a balance, right? So watch this. When a woman's going through a divorce, she's a lot of times the first one to cry or get an emotion. But she's also the first one to get over that marriage, that divorce, the fastest,
Yeah.
because it helps them to be a lot of times more emotionally resilient and more sound. So when you look at why women cry and what's going on, it's because they're not compartmentalizing. They're dealing with it. They're going through the emotion. And a lot of times we keep, as men, we put all that stuff in the back of our head, and then some people try to self-medicate, drink alcohol, which is one of the worst things to do
Yeah.
because that affects judgment. Then you go out someplace, somebody says something wrong to you. You got all this baggage back here you've held on to because you didn't grieve your losing your father. You didn't grieve losing a loved one. You didn't grieve losing this situation or that situation. So then when this person does something that really should have just been something you should have walked away from, you're ready to road rage, or you're ready to go off because all those boxes have come forward, right? Or
Right.
you've had a breakdown. So listen, if you need to cry, cry. It doesn't make you any less of a man to cry. And I'm not going to say, you cry, uh, you know, everywhere or in any situation. But listen, let it out. Because you can either let it out in a constructive way, or you can hold on to it and wait for it to turn into something else. But trust me, it's going to come out one way or another.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
It's going to come one way or another. So Crying is, I believe, a way of healing and actually building strength because if healing is a way to balance yourself out and women do it quicker, then women usually heal and are more resilient when it comes to emotional trauma. They might
And
get emotional a little
yeah,
bit more, but at the same time, they can usually run through that and heal a little faster because they've dealt with it. If that makes any sense.
yeah. Then sometimes once they go through that process, they become a stronger person by
That's right.
dealing with it.
Right. Because here's the thing, if you don't grieve a situation, you don't really get to learn from the situation either. So you got to think about that. When you
Yeah.
compartmentalize, you also compartmentalize the lesson. This bad thing happened. Okay, I can't deal with it. So then you go out and you do another bad thing because you haven't processed everything you needed to with that situation. So you wonder why people get married 3 and 4 times and they keep ending up in the same situation. Why? Because you didn't process the first two traumas. You didn't process the first two situations. So
Yeah.
the way you think you're going to get over the situation is to get into another situation with the same bag of problems. So I guess cry. Cry and process while you're in the situation and learn from it so you're not in that situation again. And the only people I know that don't learn from situations are fools and dead people. And either one I don't think you want to be.
No, not at all. Not at all. No, those are things that were. I'm glad some of the listeners are bringing up some questions. I like that. We're working on them. So I like those questions coming in. So y'all keep them questions coming in and give a
Yeah.
quick shout out to Miss Smith, Miss Rice, Miss Adams, Miss Bell, Mr. White. Just tuned in right now. And we appreciate them tuning in because it's a lot to offer right here. I mean, where can you go to get knowledge about mental health and on the Impact Hour with Joseph Lee?
Hey, well, I'm gonna say shout out to everybody that's listening. Hey, shout out to Miss Rice. If you want to know about stress and how to help deal with it, hey, there's a phenomenal training that's be going on in May. Go on, it's being promoted on this channel. She's a part of the Impact Counseling and Consulting collaboration team. Phenomenal life coach. And I'm gonna tell her secret. She also has a very strong clinical background, so she knows what she's talking about. And I actually, you might look up, I might be in that training because I love to learn. You always have to learn. Think about it. If you play any sports, if you're playing from little league all the way up to the pros, they're doing the same practice all the way from little league all the way up to the pros. So it's always good, even though I know about stress, I know about these things. It's always good to go back and learn and relearn and look at someone who's in the profession and keep your skills up. So I'll definitely be in
Yeah.
in one or two of those trainings. So definitely, I know Miss Rice, I know the work she does, so that's going to be phenomenal. So shout out to everybody on the Impact collaboration team, Craig Washington, Tamara Spears up there in Grand Rapids, the Grand Rapids team, the San Antonio team. So shout out to everybody
Yeah.
and listeners worldwide because I'm telling you, all these states pop up, and I'm like, wow, they're listening you know, over
Yeah.
here in Colorado and Idaho and all that. So that's outstanding.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
so
that's
I
good.
I like what she's doing because she's bringing up anxiety, stress, worry, and fears. And I think the number one thing I don't know that people will look at to me would be the fear. The way things are going on nowadays in society, fear is definitely out there. Not fearing, it's just fearing the outcome of things. What I'm gonna do when this happens? If the
Yeah,
outcome doesn't go your way, you fear for it. Sometimes, what they always say, face up to your fears.
I'm gonna tell you something. What did we say fear was back in church, right? I'm gonna go biblical on you first.
All right.
Fear is what? False evidence appearing real, right? If you are a child of God, for one, you really don't have a lot of room to fear because God holds all the keys and all, and he can change that thing at a moment's notice. And a lot of
Yeah.
times, and me and my wife talk about this all the time, you can, with a bad situation, if you have faith and you know, strong in the Lord, you can actually fall up. You know, instead of falling down, you can defy gravity and fall up. That thing was meant to be a setup, was a was help something to make you stand up higher.
Yeah.
So challenges come, yeah, it can be scary, it can be, I think it would actually be uh illogical and a little bit off if you don't see the arrows coming. But there's this little scripture that says, "No weapon formed against you will prosper." It doesn't say that no weapons will form. It says they won't prosper. So that means that when somebody throws something at you that's unjust, God's going to make sure that you elevate above that situation. And that arrow, if you could just visualize that arrow coming at me, is going to hit the wall, and I'm going to step up on that arrow to a higher elevation, and just keep it moving. And that's how you got to look at it. You just do the best you can, stay grounded in God, and you can lift up. Now, those folks that don't have that type of faith and that type of relationship, it gets a little more difficult, to talk about the options. But
Yeah.
one thing I will tell you: fear very seldom helps situations, other than for you to be wise about situations that you don't want to get yourself in. So nobody. I think it's a natural reaction to not want to go into a dark room. That's fear, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't know what's in there. But if you know that's your house, and your child is in there, you can overcome that fear. I'm gonna go check on my baby. I don't care what I gotta do. So you can't let fear immobilize you when it's something that you have to do. You just have to take those steps, do what you got to do, and just realize it. Most of the time, it's false evidence appearing real, and you can't change everything that's going to happen to you. The one thing you can always do is control how you respond to it, right? And
Right.
in actuality, how you respond to it can change the whole effect of what happens. Have you ever watched me and my daughter, we like to watch these nature shows. So um I remember when like some lions or some big dog would run up on a smaller animal, and that small animal just stood there.
Mm-hmm.
And the animal's like, "Hey, wait a minute, you should be scared of me." you know, so, so maybe because you're not scared of me, I need to be scared of you, right? So and they walk off. And I know that little animal was her probably was racing or whatever, but he sold that. Look, I'm gonna hold my ground.
Yeah. You
You can
know.
see it. You can say it's so funny when I see little dogs run off like Rottweilers, or these big huge dogs that could be just consumed in one bite. But they stand their ground.
Yep.
You know, and sometimes that's what you have to do when things come at you. You just have to stand your ground, and then let your strength, and your resolve make that situation go a different way.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah.
So
Because let's say fear is the unknown.
fear is the unknown, but
Yeah.
those of us have been around for a while, that's been through a few things. Um, we know situations are gonna come and go.
Yeah.
So we just have to try to, you know, be who we are, lean on our faith, and let our work speak for itself. And that's it. That's all you can do. Um, and that's it. But
Yeah.
being fearful and worried about, oh man, what if this happens? What if this happens? The craziest thing is, you ever worry about something so much and none of that stuff happens, and
Yeah.
then you're like, I'm gonna spend all this time staying up worrying and all that, and none of that stuff even happened. So really, it doesn't make sense to fear. It makes sense to plan, but maybe
Yeah.
not over plan. But it makes sense to have some type of plan. But why fear? Because whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen anyway.
True.
You can plan what you're gonna do as a result of that, And hopefully you've got some good plans in place already. So you just have to choose options, not even plans. Just choose this option.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll work that until a better option or plan comes along. Whatever you got to do. But one thing is sitting there fearing burning. My grandfather used to say this, and I'm telling you, if you think back of all the stuff the older people used to say, I'm telling you, you didn't think he was saying nothing at that time. But when you get older, you're like, man, that was so brilliant. My
Yeah.
grandfather used to say, stop spinning your wheels. And I'm like, I'm not even in a car. What are you talking about? Stop spinning. What are you talking about spinning your wheels? That's that's fear. That's a lot of it's unnecessary effort and gas and energy. You're going nowhere.
Yeah.
So that's fear. Spinning your wheels, going nowhere. Put that bad boy in park and wait till you know where you're going. Then you can, you know, cut the engine back on and or put it back in drive and go. But don't sit there and just spin your wheels and not going nowhere. You got to really work on that. And that's extroverts. We really have to do that because we wake up spinning our wheels. If we were cars, some of us we get out the bed and just leave rubber on the floor, from our shoes. We
Just take
we
off.
gone. Our mind is already gone. Our body's already gone. We already down the street before we get in the
Mm-hmm.
car. Because we're that far. So then we wonder why we have high blood pressure, hypertension, and all this other type of stuff. When somebody says something, they can't even get the word out before we get the answer. Hey, how you doing? I didn't even ask you. You didn't even answer. I didn't know how you doing yet. You already asked me.
Yeah.
So or the other thing, somebody look at you funny and you say what's up, and they don't say nothing. You look at them like, man, you didn't see me. No, I literally didn't see you. I was looking over here. Uh,
Yeah.
oh, okay, man, what's up? Okay, all right, all right, all right. As long as you say what's up, look,
Right.
we got to learn how to. And I'm talking to myself right now. As well. We got to learn how to chill, let God do His thing. Because one thing I do know, as long as we have our hands on it, God is going to take His hands off of it.
Yes. Amen.
We give God something, we got to let God work it out. And that's one of the hardest things to do as an extrovert because we think we know something. So we'll get in there and mess it up. And God said, well, I can't do that because you messed up the design I had for you.
Yeah. That's so true.
So
Yes, it is.
so if we realize that, now I'm talking just to my Christian folks right now. I can't talk to nobody else about this particular piece. I'm talking about spirituality. When we give something over to God, I dare you, and I even talk to myself, start celebrating the outcome, no matter what it is. Because God's already got it. And I don't know when God touches something, it's going to come out better than what we expected anyway.
Yeah.
But we just have to humble ourselves and be flexible enough to let God work. Do we want to be a hard piece of clay or a malleable piece of clay for God to work with? Because the harder we are, God may have to break us and reform us. So allow yourself to be malleable, allow yourself to listen. And I'm not talking to just everybody else, I'm talking to myself right now. We get into this habit of thinking we know what the design is or we know what's going to happen or whatever. But we have to understand that we can't control the next breath where we're not thinking about it. We can do that because we're thinking about it. But when we stop thinking about it, we still breathe, right? It's
Right.
by design. It's by design. So when you relax and let God handle it, it's going to be a better thing because you can focus on other things, joy and the blessings that He has for you. That's why I say in counseling, I have so much more to work with. When I have somebody that believes and has faith, because there's some things you can't learn in that DSM-5. And as Black folk, as people of color, as African Americans, we've had to live by faith.
Yes.
And if you didn't, I dare you to go talk to your grandmother. Go talk to some of the mothers in some of these churches that'll tell you about living by faith.
Yep.
And there's some peace in that. Go talk to somebody older, and then be truthful with yourself. Look to yourself and go, you know what? I could have did this better. I could have done something better. I could have got it my own way, And
Yeah.
sometimes God will show you yourself. Now you got to be strong enough and truthful enough to allow yourself to see yourself.
Yes, amen to that.
Yeah. And sometimes it's hard to say, "Ooh, I did that.
Yeah.
I could have did this a lot better. I blew this opportunity, you know.
Yeah.
You make mistakes, you know. But then God can take a mistake and turn it into a miracle. So, you just keep learning, trying, stay grounded, and try to stay as healthy as possible. Stop watching the news all day long on your app, on your phone, talking about just stop. We don't know. We don't know what's gonna happen. We know what
Yeah.
we can do, right? So we'll do that.
Yes, sir.
We've talked about it on here. I want all my listeners, if for a little project, just have a healthy diet of the news over the next week. I only want you to just watch the bullets. Go to maybe you know, another foreign news channel, or go to the I like sometimes just watching the business news because they'll
Hmm.
just give you the bullets of what happened. They don't give you all the spin. It's okay,
Exactly.
somebody did that, whatever, and that's it. And then when they start going into playing it over again, I just cut the TV off. You know what is going on, but you don't fixate on it. So
Right.
that's
Right.
that's my healthy tip. And also cut all this stuff off. Cut off the phones and the electronics. And when was the last time, this is gonna sound crazy, when was the last time somebody just listened to the wind, the birds in the morning? When can you just sit for 5 minutes and not do anything? And if you can't sit for 5 minutes and do anything, it's a strong possibility that you're stressed because you got to keep moving.
Yeah.
I love when I get somewhere 35 or 45 minutes early because I can just sit there. Went to my daughter's school today. I was there 35 minutes early, and I just sat there, closed my eyes, and listened to the kids play.
Yeah. That's a
You
wonderful
know,
sound.
that is a sound. I dare you to listen to it. I don't know if they got it on the app. You just hearing kids play, it'll lower your blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Just remembering that, having the wind, just feeling the wind blow, experiencing that.
Yep.
And there's people that pay a lot of money just to have an experience of slowing life down. And that doesn't have to cost you anything. So that's my recommendation. Slow things down, man. And do some things that's gonna make you feel better. Talk to that family member that's gonna cheer you up. Go to a nursing home and talk to a loved one or somebody's loved one and brighten up their day. It's gonna brighten up your day, you know.
Yes. Sure
That's
will.
that's another one you can do. I love seeing these seniors out here that are walking at all 95 years old or 100 and whatever. And when they smile, it just makes me feel better.
Yeah, it does.
They
It
smiling at
does.
95, I definitely should be able to smile at 50. You know what I'm saying? They seen
Yeah.
a lot more than I have, you
Yeah,
know what
they
I'm
sure
saying? So
have been through a lot
yeah,
more. Yeah.
a whole
Okay.
lot more. So
Yeah.
that's what I got for you. Try to enjoy those simple things in life because I'm gonna tell you, once you learn how to do that, it make things so much easier and better when you have to go through the hard things. And, I can sit there and just chill, sing some karaoke, go talk to my friends, call you up and you're gonna tell me something's gonna make me laugh, or
Yeah.
tell me what Glenn's doing, so whatever.
Yeah.
Those are the things that you can't put a price on that mean everything, and I'm probably
Amen.
gonna hear about the news from one of y'all, so I don't have to. Okay,
Yeah,
that's what's
yeah.
going on. Okay, that's what's going on.
All right, my
So
brother. We
that's
did pretty
it.
good. We were just a few minutes over. Not bad. Not bad.
Not
Uh,
bad. So
and what are your words at the end of every show?
your actions speak so loud, I can't hear a word you say. So
Oh,
make sure your actions speak and are saying the things you wanted to say. So that's all I got.
all right, Joseph. I appreciate you taking time out. You get some rest, and
Will
tell
do.
tell your family I said hi, and y'all stay safe over there.
Will do. Yeah.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Thank you, sir. All right, everybody. That was Joseph Lee with Impact Counseling and Consulting Services for his Impact Hour here on WSAN Radio.
Hello there, this is Coach Rice. I'm coming on for a brief moment to let you know that in the month of May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month, I will be offering a training. And the training is called The Art of Managing Anxiety, Stress, Worry, and Fear. This is going to be an interactive training, virtually done. So I have 4 weeks of it in the month of May, happening from 10 o'clock to 11:30 a.m. So I would like for you to go on my website, www.completethenhem.com. What it consists of is, number one, you will get an ebook. And the ebook consists of tools that you will have to utilize in each of those areas. So you will be trained in how to find out which area is operating in your life and be able to utilize the tools in your toolbox to be able to manage those areas properly. And you will also get two 30-minute private working sessions with myself, Coach Rice. And those sessions do not expire. So you can utilize them if you forget how to use a tool or anything, you can utilize those sessions for that. Also, if you are the first 5 that sign up each week, you will get a bonus gift. Go on my website and hit the join now button on the flyer, and it'll take you through what you need to do. If you see the flyer, hit the join now or the link that's provided. You don't want to miss this. It's in the month of May, and I will definitely have more work. I will have more trainings because I have used these tools. They're effective and they're results driven. So I really want to share these with you because I think they're absolutely effective. Don't forget, so book your seat as soon as you can. And so I hope to see you at the training. So I'm looking forward to it. Talk to you soon.
On April 27th, the Guadalupe County Democratic Party is hosting a Get Out the Vote concert featuring the dynamic Peterson Brothers Band. We want to motivate and encourage everyone to vote because we believe voting matters. Voting just doesn't include presidential elections, but also our local elections. Voting is our superpower. We desire to engage and inspire everyone to vote. So please join us on April 27th at 7 p.m. at the Stephen and Mary Birch Texas Theater at 425 North Austin Street, Seguin, Texas 78155. For ticket information, go to our website at guadalupedemocrats.org or text us at 830-240-2502. Hope to see you soon.
You woke up breakfast like grandma's cooking, but you have nowhere to go. Well, look no more, cause we're the bustin' breakfast, and we're right in San Antonio. We got them good waffles and they're golden brown. We got them good grits, they're the best in town. So come on down to the bustin' breakfast, where all our breakfast is bustin'.
Located at 218 East Almost Drive in Almost Park, Texas.
All right, everybody. It's been a wonderful show this morning, having the Impact Hour on with our friend Joseph Lee, all the way from Japan. All right, everybody know Wednesdays is our early days. We got other obligations that we do here, and but tune in tomorrow morning, bright and early at 7 a.m. Sheila E., as I say all the time, we ran out of time. All I gotta say is, everybody, y'all have a blessed day. Peace and chicken grease. This is DJ Ron G. I'm out.
Everybody is a star. Who will reign the dust of way? Everybody wants to shine. Who'll come out on a cloudy day? 'Tis the sun that loves you brown. When the system tries to bring